My name is Anders and I'm about to go out and try to survive for 7 days on this remote jungle river in Guyana called Burro Burro. Follow me for some wild adventures in the jungle here in one of the least explored places on the surface of the planet. Welcome to the Burro Burro River. I am just about to be dropped off for a 7-day survival challenge. I will have to build my own shelter, make my own fire, get my own water, get my own food, and make the jungle my home for the next 7 days. So hopefully everything's gonna go well, and hopefully I can take you through a journey of how it is to be in the rainforest and how it is to survive and thrive in there. I'm very excited. I have just been dropped off here at my isolation spot, and now it's time to get into survival mode. Just getting up here on the actual, like, inside the jungle, getting a little bit off the riverbank here, and this area up here is the rainforest with all the resources I need if I know how to find them. The first thing, and probably one of the biggest mistakes I see when people are doing survival courses or TV shows and so on, is that they don't spend time looking what is available. So one of the things that I always advise people if they're doing any jungle survival, or if I'm training people to do jungle survival, is that I always tell them to make sure to not bring out your machete and start chopping for the first like 20 to 30 minutes. You should assess to find the best place for your shelter, where you have to drag the least resources to, where you can, like, what you have available in the area. And the moment that you have understood what the area can supply to you, then you start planning to where to put your shelter, how you can access the river, and all of these things here that follow. Because for 7 days, this is going to be, the infrastructure you put in place is going to be the stuff that's going to make it durable to live here. So the half an hour that you give out here thinking is easily going to be earned back when you start building and preparing your life here. So let's check it out and let's see what we have, and then we're going to start finding a spot for our shelter. Now I'm standing here in the middle of this like rather little thick bush kind of thing here in the jungle, and the first thing you have to put up this type of shelter that we're using here is you need to have 4 trees, while you can add in your own post. Right now it's very dry, it's not very effective to do right now. So by finding 4 trees that is standing in a somehow square, then you're gonna have the first facilities you need to put up your shelter. When that being said, there's of course a whole lot of things that need to be in place as well. You need to look up and check, see, like, is there any trees that is leaning over your shelter? Is there big branches that look like they're about to drop down? And you're under the canopy, so it can be very hard to determine, but sometimes you gotta take a chance as well. And then you look down, because for us to live in the jungle, we need to make sure that all the foliage and the immediate area around get clean, because everything that scorpions, snakes, etc., they can hide in, we move that away, and by that we decrease the chance or mitigate that all of these things is coming into our shelter where we want to live in this little bored piece of jungle. So let's get started with everything, and then let's check out all the corners for bullet ants, see if we find maybe a couple of scorpions or whatever, hopefully not, and then we're gonna clear out, and then we're gonna step by step start setting up the shelter I'm gonna stay in for the next 7 days. So it's always good with a little sweat out. Remember to drink water. Oh Lord, remember to drink water. Now I have cleared my little ground here, and this is the first step. And luckily, didn't get any bullet ants, no scorpions, no snakes, no nothing. So this is a very good beginning. And then please note that I've been cleaning a little bit of boundary around. The more the merrier, but of course this is how you feel comfortable. I have guests down here who will remove every single leaf, which is advisable, and then I have guests who do it much more light. The more you remove, the less things can hide. And remember, at nighttime, you might be sitting here without your boots on. You are gonna put your hands down to get firewood. So the more you invest in it, the better it is for you and the safer it is to be here. So next stage is our natural resources that we're gonna go out and talk about and then start harvesting. So let's get going with it so we can get this shelter up before it suddenly gets dark. We are now getting to the part of putting up our structure. What I suggest is that you always go out, spot the trees you need. I mean, like in our cases, I'm going to demonstrate shortly, you would need 4 fork sticks for your roof, and you would need 4 for your like bed level, or what you would call it. And measure twice, cut once. So basically you would try to find as little trees to supply you as much as possible, because one of the most tedious and physical tasks out here is to not only cut them down but to pull them through the forest as well. So let's try to go and see if we can find some good ones, and then we're gonna cut them. I mean, like, you're not gonna run out of trees out in the rainforest, are you? So but nevertheless, finding the right ones is really important. I collected all my fork sticks, and now I'm gonna be collecting a few small extra pieces, some cross beams. One thing I often find when people putting up their shelters is that if you see, as an example, my 2 trees here, people go out, cut their trees, come back, and then they're too short. So what I've done is I've cut myself a little stick here that has the longest point, and then I know that each piece of wood, as long as this one, is gonna fit in. Because like I said, you want to minimize all the chopping, because it's really hard work. It's good exercise if you want to lose some weight. So let me go out and fetch these final things here, and then we can get ready to put up the shelter, and then I'm gonna show you all the other small cool bits and bobs we're using here. So let's get going. Right behind me here is a manacle palm. This manacle palm here is one of the most useful trees you can find out here. Not only is it good for building your shelter, but inside there's kind of like a cabbage up in the growing part that we're gonna try to extract, and then we can get ourselves a little lunch, right? Because you're using a lot of energy with all the chopping. And one of the things that you will ever find if you find yourself in the rainforest is that proteins is quite available if you know where to find them, but like carbohydrates is really hard to find here. And this one here is something like I can't remember, but it's a lot of calories you get out of this one here. It is like a cabbage, tastes like a cabbage. So let me chop it down, use it for my shelter. The leaves that you can see up there, they can be used for my roofing, and then I can eat it. So it's like a little bit of a tree of life out here. I am now back at my little shelter ground here with all the resources I need for starting the roof. And now you're really gonna understand what I was talking about when I said fork sticks, because like I said, the whole structure here can be put up without using any rope, whether it's artificial brought out or it's a bush rope or whatever. So let's try to get started. So we work, as I was saying, in 2 layers. The first one is the roof. And the roof has a few important things, but it's pretty straightforward. First of all, because water runs as it does, you want to have one end that is lower than another end. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get one fork stick up on one side here. We're gonna rest it here on this fork here. And then you're gonna go over to the other side, and then you're gonna start over there by actually putting up what you're gonna have all your weight bearing on. And then over here on the other side, you're gonna fit the next one, and here you can actually start fitting in the beam going across. Now, when you put up these things here, it is super important that you put your fork stick on the inside, because it just like it has a tendency of pushing out, so it doesn't slide over. And then the length of it, you can just let it run down to the ground and you're gonna ram it in. But as I said, you wanna keep it up high so it's nice and comfortable, otherwise it gets very low. The other end you can make much lower and then the water can run off there. And now, as we've been putting up our structure here to carry it, I have been cutting a bunch of these as straight as can be sticks, and now I'm gonna go across the structure. So now we're coming to the roof, and we use leaves to put on top, and of course we have an abundance of different leaves. There's something called the manacle palm. I'm gonna introduce you to the coconut palm, but no matter how you do it out here, your roof will very likely leak a little bit under heavy rain. But one of the things that I found that's super good is to take something here they call a wild banana. I think it's like a type of a heliconia or something, and use them like in a tile system first, and then you add on the like much more like what do you call like where the leaves is much more spread out, like you would find it in the palms. So let's start harvesting some of them, then we're gonna get on to the next one. What I have right behind me there, all those stems going up, is something called a coconut palm. Coconut palm is super interesting, and it's actually something we call a tree of life. We call it tree of life because we can use it through all the stages, and it is supplying us with everything we need. In this case here, this is what we call a teenage coconut. This one here, as you see the long stems that goes up, and up on top there is the leaves, and the stems are super good for making yourself a comfortable bed, as comfortable as can be. So this, as long as this one here is around, I know it's not throughout the Amazon, but as long as this palm here is around, then you should be able to survive, at least if you've been on one of my survival courses. So let's try to get them down, and then try to get them over to the shelter. A very important thing with these things here is on the inside, you have this super sharp edge. So take care with your fingers if you ever handle this one here. It's, as we all know, infections in the jungle is not a good thing. So as long as you remove these, it's safe to handle and pull. And now we're gonna start putting up the broad leaves first. They are really like gonna be spreading out. They're gonna hold all the like finer palm leaves in place as well. And then we're gonna put them up, like I said, in a little bit of a tile system. We got different types of leaves. This is the wild banana. So you of course wanna start them a little bit from below here. These here is gonna shrink quite a bit. So make sure to give them a little bit of an overlap, because otherwise you're gonna experience that they're gonna shrink over the days. And the most important part is gonna be the part of where you are sleeping, which I of course already planned that is gonna be in this side here for me. So here I'm gonna try to use the biggest leaves I can first, and then try to get them put up in such a way that they're creating a little bit extra. Because if you only use the coconut leaf or the manacle leaf that I showed you already, you're gonna be very much in a situation where water very likely will drip through. So this is what we want to try to avoid. And then, as a final little thing, I'm gonna put in some fork sticks towards the end here. Oh. So, because of course, these ones here will have a tendency of wanna slide away. So you want to make sure that while you're laying and having your little beauty sleep, or you're gonna call whatever I'm gonna get out here, probably don't want these in the middle of the night to slide away from each other. The best thing to use is like a bush rope, but actually I haven't come across anything, so that's gonna be a tomorrow job. To improve my bed situation here. It's not ideal, but I have a bed. That's more than many other people in any survival situation. Let me see what it can do for the little prince here. Well, I would be lying if I said it was like the Andersen, but again, it's still better than sleeping on the ground. Now my shelter is pretty much up, and then we come to the fire. The fire is one of the probably most mysterious kind of things out here in the jungle, but it is, at least for now, for the season now here, it's pretty simple. But you have to do some preparations and you need to be able to find the right wood. So we are dealing with two types here. There is like a fallen tree like this. Everything is lifted off the ground, or well, the parts that is lifted off the ground should be good. And then you go in and you check, and then you have to check if like these things are like, but if they're cracking, this is really, and the more they're snapping, the better. And then, as I came around here, I think I saw something else that is very, very good. And that is something called a dead standing wood. Yes, it's right here. Let me try to demonstrate. So, a piece of wood, like this thing here, that is standing. This is actually a dead piece of wood. So I can try to demonstrate to you guys now. This thing here. Without getting anything in my head. But because it's been standing up, the water is running down, and that means that the inside is going to be really good. So then we start to harvest some wood, get it over to the shelter, and then we're going to get this fire going, and then we're going to get plenty of firewood. When you think you got enough, then bring twice as much. If it's raining, when you think you got enough, then bring 3 times as much. So let's start. The first thing, now you already see me get the firewood here, like the standing wood and some firewood, and then I'm gonna open it up and then I'm gonna do feather sticks. I'm quite sure most people out there already know what feather sticks is, but just for the sake of it, there's gonna be a little demonstration here. Getting into the core of the wood where we have like the dry stuff here. And basically, we want to create these fire sticks you can use. You need a well-sharp knife or machete. And then, let's see if I can get out. And then you get like, long ones. This is actually not the best one, but you get the idea. You get like all this surface here that can burn. and then you need a lot of them. So let me keep going here. So I have been scraping, cracking, preparing, and now I got like a little selection. I've been scraping off these from this dead wood I was showing you, scraping off these fine kind of scrapings that I'm gonna try to see if we can take my spark. I was hoping to have something else, but I didn't have it, and then you just need to improvise, right? So we're gonna try now and see if I can get a fire going. The first thing is to make sure in the jungle the ground under you is very moist. So try to build a little platform where you can get the fire up and you can get this oxygen in I was speaking about. And then yeah, well, there's nothing else to do than just to try. So let's get it going. A little extra. Oh, I never got something. Oh, so close. Close. Go on, catch on. Right there. Oh, close, so close. And now I'm here, my fire is going, my bed is made. I'm knackered. I'm doing this several times a year, not necessarily just like going out here by myself, but I'm sending guests out. And one of my motivations have been as well to make sure that every year I go out and I try to do this myself so I remember what I'm teaching and some of the challenges, because one thing is taking like a fraction of the course. You're like, okay, now we're doing fire lighting, now we're doing like shelter, blah, 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 whatever we're teaching people out here. But when you compile all of it and then you have to implement it, it is like a brutal environment. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite place in the world, the jungle, but it is merciless. And from now on, it's about getting food, staying hydrated, firewood, but much more light than all of these things. So I'm a very happy man. Now it's just about keeping that fire alive, because if it goes out in the middle of the night, especially if it's raining, you have to get it all over going again. I am in my shelter. It's dark. I'm sitting here with my my little dinner of my hardeporm. I already eaten some. And now it's time for the night. What I find is that the ability to stay out here alone is really one of the things that people have the hardest time with. I find it myself as well that some people, they enjoy like being like the solitude of being out here, and other people, they really find it to be intimidating. And I mean, I have done this a couple of times, so I'm okay with it. But this is some very, very long nights. We are about 1,000 kilometers north of the equator, so it means we roughly have like 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. And of course, the canopy extends this even further, so you lose out probably like 1 hour on each end, where it like actually is almost pitch black already. So now I'm buckled up for the night, and now I'm just gonna push through. So it's been one smashing day, and I'm really happy with everything I achieved. And then tomorrow, all the hard work is luckily done, and then it's just improving and making everything better and more livable and so on, right? So yeah, man. Good night to you guys, and well, I don't know how mine gonna be, but it's gonna be a night at least. I'm sitting in my shelter, and started to rain. So I guess everything is gonna be stress tested now. I mean, there exists no shelter where it wouldn't drip a little through the roof. I think I can say that. I've seen enough shelters to say that. But this is great. This is great. My fire is going. I got everything sorted here, and it's really comfortable. So I can for sure withstand it. And then I know, as it always is with rain, it's always passing as well. As much as it's gonna be here, it's gonna stop again. That's how it works. That was some kind of a shower we had last night. The shelter did pretty well. I'm very happy. I did some final improvements. I put up some extra posts. I fimbled around all my like the concrete beams here for my bed. So I mean, like overall, it was as comfortable as it can be when it is pouring down with rain in the rainforest. So and my fire stayed up. So now it's time for breakfast. And then I got a whole bunch of things I have to get done with today, and fishing. I really want to eat some fish now. I'm hungry. So, well, let's dig into breakfast, and then get a little stuff here ready, etc. And then I can get going with the day, because this is really how it is. You need to get up going when you have the energy for it, and then you can always relax when the sun comes up and becomes really hot around midday. Yeah, so breakfast is served. Got the cooked worms. A little worm living inside the fallen cooked fruit. And then I got the actual fruit here. I was so lucky to find it yesterday with the flesh around it. It like has a big nut inside. This is the one the worms eventually live in. We'll suck off this. Very sweet. Supposed to be extremely healthy. So, I mean, at this point here, I would eat pretty much anything. And then the worms. Good old cooked worms. They do not taste as disgusting as they look, but they're very rich, and you can actually find bigger palm worms as well. I'm gonna eat 2 of them, and then I'm gonna save the rest for my fishing session here, and hopefully get some proper food. It's fine. So breakfast is sorted, and now let's go out and catch some real food, man. So I'm trying to find a little tree that we fashion into a little fishing rod. So in the jungle, it is made as such that you start by catching in small levels. So you find your bait, and then you catch bait fish, and with those you can catch bigger fish, and from those fish you can even catch river monsters. So I'm gonna try to fashion me up a little bit of fishing rod, because the water has been coming up. I want one that is a little bit longer so I can reach out, because there's a lot of mud down there in front. So let me see what I can find out here. I mean, like, I'm not gonna run out of trees, am I? So I'm now finally down by the river. My fishing rod here is ready. I got my crooked worms. And now I'm trying to even get some bait fish, or even if I'm lucky, something bigger. The water has been coming up because of the rain, quite naturally. And this brings some advantages and some challenges. Some bigger fish comes up when the water raises. Other fishes, they disappear. So, I mean, like, it can both be good and bad. But the first and foremost, like I was saying, is I need to catch a bait fish. And bait fishing here in, like, the Amazon kind of rainforest that we have here in Guyana is that you need to get the fish's attention. There's a lot of stuff dropping down. So you can do all kind of, like, small, like, things that's gonna simulate that something is happening. And then you're gonna try to see, and suddenly they hopefully, ideally, will start biting. No bites here right now. And there you go, my first bait fish. This is actually a really good one, but you can see, very important to notice, it's actually a quite good size. So if you were only catching bait fish, you cannot eat these as well, but I'm hopefully gonna demonstrate that later. Here's the catch, and that's gonna be lunch for now, and then I am most definitely gonna be down fishing later, and especially tonight when the piranhas are not active, and see if I can get a catfish. Or jungle blues. Yeah, I am getting very slippery now. Now these leaves here, this is what we call the baby cockroach. And these leaves here are brilliant for steaming fish inside. So let me get a couple of them, and then we're gonna get them, use them to steam the fish inside the fire. And basically what I do is I put in my fish. And the biggest problem when you're steaming fish is when you have a fire that is like blazing, I find. This is just my opinion. direction here. Good. And then find a little thing. Pour in a little water into them. And I gotta tie it up. I know it's running out. It's not gonna stay in there anyway when you put it in the fire, but having it a little bit moist is gonna make everything a little bit easier. And a little less prone to just burning right away. If watching this has made you more curious about how it really is to survive the Amazon jungle, we run both group and private trips several times a year right here in Guyana. Head down to the description, check out how you can get in touch with us and see how you can come and join one of our jungle survival courses. This guy here, he jumped off my line, or my hook, and I tried to take him. Look at this.